Let's finish with investing. So you are mostly bootstrapped relatively to where the business is today, but you have raised over $1 million, but that is, $1 million is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money compared to, I speak to some founders on this show and they've raised, just this week, the past couple of weeks, there's people that have done like 20, 30, 50 million, and the business is nowhere near where it perhaps should be with that level of capital. But with a very relatively small budget, you built something really cool. What tips would you give to founders that are looking to, I guess, secure capital? Because oftentimes, forget about having the money, they just can't get it in the first place. They're struggling to pitch, they're struggling to get meetings, they're getting in front of people, but they're hearing no, and it's just wearing them down. What advice can you give to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So, advice on fundraising. Question one, why do you want the money? The vast majority of businesses do not need external capital. The vast majority of successful businesses in the UK and the rest of the world have been built without any external capital. In other words, you should discover something that customers are willing to pay for that you can make money selling. And if you can't, then you're probably barking up the wrong tree. Sure. So, first question is, why do you really want capital? Do you need it at all? Question two is, why might you need capital? What are the reasons you might need capital? I think the number of reasons are pretty small, but pretty thin. It might be because what you're doing has a long payback period. So I need money because I'm going to spend 10 quid now to get back £40 in a year's time, and I need to cover the working capital between the two events. Second reason, which people always say, but is usually just not true, is I can build a competitive moat. I can create a monopoly effect for some reason or another. It would be true of social networks, I guess, but even they come and go, it turns out. And then the third reason, which can be true at a later stage, is I think I can build a bigger thing faster, even though I'll own less of it. But really, other than that, there's no reason to raise capital at all. And I think the reason that's so important, and the reason it's so relevant to your point about the no, is those no's follow poor narratives about why people want money. So if your narrative about why you want money is, I'm not really sure, but hopefully if I spend some light bulb moment will happen for us, not sure people want to invest behind that. Whereas if you say, I know that if I spend £1 here, in a year's time I'm going to get 4 quid and I'm willing to give £2 of that to you, great, I'm sure everyone would invest behind that scheme. So nailing that narrative is really important, and really understanding it yourself. I know it's difficult, but it's not meant to be easy, as I said at the start. I guess a couple of just extremely practical tips. The first one is ask people for money. It's astonishing to me how many people will ask to talk to me, tell me they're raising money, and sometimes I do it because I said I'm nice, but maybe I'm not nice. Sometimes I do it to see what people do. Sure. You can have an hour's conversation with people who are raising money, who want to talk to you about raising money, and they won't ask you, so will you invest? It's like, you just spent an hour of your time and my time. It's kind of interesting, because the reason I sometimes leave people on the hook a bit is I want to see if they have the ability to sell, because selling is kind of important. So ask people for money, actually ask them, don't just assume that they might tell you and be British and embarrassed about it. I think the second practical tip is what every investor wants to see is a risk-free investment. And don't we all? And I think of this blue widget factory. What I want to hear, what investors want to hear, is I, company X, sell blue widgets. And for each blue widget, I can make £1. And the service cost is really good and the return rate's really low. And the market for blue widgets is really big, so I'm going to sell more blue widgets. They don't really want to hear that you're going to sell some red widgets, and some of those widgets are going to be abroad in Australia. Some of those widgets are going to be extra large and some are going to be small. The closer you can have to here's a streamlined, simple narrative, the easier it is to raise money. Again, of course, it's harder the earlier you are, but that's what people want to hear, surefire bets, not lots of risky assumptions that you don't have any data support.
Okay. What about the flip side of the coin? Let's talk about angel investing. I've made some small bets recently, but nothing compared to you. You've invested in over 50 companies over the years. Some of them have, I imagine, gone to zero. Some of them have become big successes. But what advice would you give to people that are looking to, I guess, angel invest themselves? And I am fishing a little bit here for tips.
Of course. We could talk about it forever, I think. So I strongly believe in taking a structured approach and methodological approach in what I do, and the same is true of angel investments. And I think there's a sort of myth that because the odds are low and every now and then you have to hit a home run to make the maths work, you could be scattergun and unstructured. But actually, I don't think that's true. I think you can apply discipline and rigor to what you do. And so the way I think about it is the evidence burden changes and increases with each stage of investment you make. So if we take the sort of 4 early stages, you've got pre-seed, and that's a bet on the team. So what I'm asking is this team uniquely well positioned to win in this space? And that's either because they know something about this industry that nobody else does because they're steeped in the industry, or they've gone away and cleaned 100 homes, they've found out something about this industry, so they know more about this industry than anybody else. The second stage is sort of seed stage, and that's what people normally call a kind of product stage. And I know what they mean. They want to see a working prototype with a flow from here to there to there.
Sure.
But that's not really what I'm interested in. I'm interested in less in that and a bit more in, can you prove to me that a user wants this? Wherever it is you're selling, what proof point can you give to me? Have you surveyed 500 users and 10% of them say, I desperately want this thing? Have you, Airbnb slept on the couches? Have you got something that says people want this thing? So that's a kind of product stage and the sort of seed stage. Next stage is Series A. And really what you're looking for is traction, revenue. Like, is someone actually paying for the thing? And then stage 4, as you get into Series B and beyond, is unit economics. Can you make money doing whatever it is you're doing? And I think if you think about fundraising in those stages, this is what you're trying to prove at each stage. It stops you being, what you're trying to invest in at each stage and what an entrepreneur is trying to achieve at each stage actually makes it simpler to assess, is this doing well given where it is and how much capital is raised?
Sure.
I suppose a few other tips for angel investing, and probably the most important thing is stand in fast-flowing water. Just be in markets that are going in the right direction. Just got more. You just increased your chances. 10 years ago, electric vehicles looks pretty interesting. You could have invested in Tesla on the stock market. Maybe you would decide it doesn't look interesting anymore. Maybe it's not fast-flowing water anymore. But invest in areas that kind of make some sense. I think the second is back quality people who have integrity. I've seen just countless examples of okay teams in fast-flowing water not doing so well. Great teams in dead-looking markets always somehow pull it out the bag.
Yes.
And then the last is don't really try to make money. I think if you think about it from a kind of money perspective, it's quite hard. It's because the maths are so extreme. 1 in 50 is going to pay for the rest. And you can't do the spreadsheet never works. It always goal seeks 0 or infinity or whatever. It doesn't kind of work. And hope that if you get the fundamentals right, the money will eventually follow.
Okay. I love that. Okay. Let's finish with something that you shared on Twitter a couple of years ago. So the king of investing himself, Mr. Warren Buffett, he was being interviewed, and this host kept trying to, I guess, catch him off guard. They were asking him questions about the stock market. What do you think about this stock? What do you think about this price? What about this company? And the most successful investor potentially in history just kept saying, I don't know. I don't know. And you added some commentary to this, Avin. You said, only the most capable people do that, when referring to Warren Buffett. So he's saying, I don't know, and only the most capable people do that. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Because when I was looking through your feed and I saw that, it really stood out to me, and I was like, yes, that's spot on.
Yeah. I really, by the way, love the thoroughness of the research you guys do for this series. It's very different to how most people go about it. And I remember quite vividly kind of trying to explain trying to write something that explained what I thought, and I'm not sure only the most capable people do that really expresses how I think about it, but I'm glad you picked up on it because it's an interesting thing to talk about, and hopefully you'll excuse a little digression here. There's something I heard a year or two ago, I can't remember where it was, but somewhere or the other, came across this thing that says there's sort of two types of people in the world. Type 1, I mean, I'm sure there are many other types, but in this sort of variant, there are type 1 are people who would look back at themselves historically and say, I know that guy. Yeah, that 18-year-old person's absolutely me, and that 25-year-old guy's me too. And I know that 33-year-old guy, that 10-year-old kid. They all look and feel and talk and sound like me. And of course, kids nowadays will actually literally be able to do this because they have so much video evidence of themselves. And type 2 is kind of, they look back and they go, I don't recognise that guy. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know what he stands for or she stands for. And I was trying to sort of, I don't know. I'm not sure if I recognise myself at 15. I think I possibly do at 23. I don't know, with those life events. And I don't know. And I've sort of been, I don't spend much time thinking about this, but I've been sort of pondering that question about would I recognise myself? And I've been at Housekeep 10 years. Yeah. And it's a sort of interesting time to kind of, and now I'm 40 and then I was 30, and there's various milestones that just make me chew over that question. Am I the same guy? Am I more capable, less capable? And what I do believe in, and hopefully you'll excuse this digression too, what I really believe in now that I don't think I understood at 30 is I really believe in being extremely clear and truthful and honest. I think I was always honest and truthful, but now I think it's like a superpower. And so sometimes, I'm sure people do this with you as well, extremely successful entrepreneurs you are, people come up to me that don't know me very well, and they'll say, oh, you're so-and-so's mate, oh, you run Housekeep, wow, what a great successful thing you've built. And I'm a bit, because I'm a bit embarrassed by it, like, it's not really, it's nothing, But it's not nothing, it isn't the best business in the world, there are better businesses in the world than Housekeep. Yeah. But it's also not true to say it's a complete disaster and a waste of time. And it's quite hard to be honest and truthful about how successful am I. I mean, I'm quite successful, but I'm not extremely successful. I'm not unsuccessful either. And I think if you're honest and truthful to yourself about that, you have a greater chance of kind of being successful in the future. And the Warren Buffett thing was, here's a guy who is obviously extremely successful and has the courage to say, I don't know. Yeah. And the reason I found the clip so interesting, this is hopefully going to all make sense in a second, is I wonder whether, he was 86 or something in that clip, I wonder if he's the same guy he was when he was 20. And what I was trying to articulate in a tweet that I feel like it's interesting you've picked up on is, did he evolve? Did he get stronger? Did he get better? Did he learn? Or was he always able to say, I don't know? And I sort of think I would probably have the courage to do it now. I don't know if I would have had the courage to do it when I was 20. And I wonder whether he did or whether you would. And I think it's just such an interesting clip to kind of ponder yourself, try to look in the mirror and think, how would you respond to? Yeah. And I can see that him having the courage to do that and having the clarity to do that, the honesty is so valuable. Yeah. So that was why I tweeted.
I love that. And it's not just honesty with other people, it's honesty with ourselves.
Absolutely.
Because people can be honest with other people, and they're genuine, they're authentic, but they're telling themselves a false narrative. Yeah. And they're telling themselves fake reasons about why they can't do something, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then they never even get started.
And a huge part of our job as entrepreneurs is to storytell. We have to storytell to even to ourselves. We have to tell a story, and I'll come back to that in a second, but we have to tell a story to ourselves, we have to tell a story to investors, we have to tell a story to employees, we have to tell a story to customers. Of course we've got to attract high quality employees. Yeah. But the honesty with yourself is really important, because the more that you craft that story to yourself and you make it absolutely crystal clear, what is Housekeep's vision, what do we stand for, what do we care about, the more compelling it is, the easier it is to raise capital. And the more that you try to brush over the bits that are inconvenient, the less coherent the story is, the harder it is to raise capital, the less it makes sense as to what you want to do with the capital, the less harder it is to attract employees, the harder it is to get people in the right roles that they're motivated and hungry to perform in. It's that storytelling and clarity I think is really important. I just wonder what I would have said when I was 30 or 20, or what Warren Buffett would have said when he was 20 or 30 or 80.
Yeah, we need to do the same interview in 10 years
Well,
from
exactly,
now,
yeah,
on
yeah.
your 50th, and then we'll ask the same question. Yeah.